You guys are eating burgers?
Hey, summer's over.
Halloween's coming. You gotta stay in shape for all the costumes.
What's that?
About 10 years ago, there was no better bet than to open a Subway franchise. Subway rode the wave of people looking for healthier options at their fast food spots.
Spicy Red Riding Hood. Touchdown.
Can we go over the Viking lady again?
And one of the best food promotions ever in the $5 footlong to the top of the fast food chain. While most people assume that McDonald's is the king, Subway actually has and had more locations in both North America and the world than McDonald's. Recently, however, Subway has been closing down locations as their business has suffered.
They both stood there and looked at me, and the lady behind the counter said it's a dead mouse, and I laughed. I said, there's no way.
So we'll attempt to get to the bottom of it by finding the top 10 things Subway doesn't want you to know.
No, I'm good. I'll probably never eat here again.
The flatbread is a steal.
We're hungry.
Coming into this video, we're sure that each of you know at least 2 of the entries that we'll go through, one involving Jared and the other involving a foot-long sandwich and a measuring tape.
Can I have one of those? Coming right up.
The 11-inch scandal made people feel like they were being lied to, that Subway was using false advertisements and getting rich off of that 1 inch of sandwich. However, very few people know that you can actually get back at Subway for that by ordering a flatbread sandwich. According to those in the know, the average foot-long flatbread sandwich actually measures at over 14 inches. That means you're getting 2 inches of sandwich for free, and all you have to do is, eat flatbread. Considering the fact that Subway is losing customers left and right, perhaps they should advertise the $5 flatbread to get people back in the door. If you do want to order the flatbread, just avoid the, well, you'll see, we'll get to it. Liking this video so far? If you haven't done so already, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell. The Halal and Kosher Subways.
He wants the new Tuscan chicken melt.
If you're unfamiliar, people that abide by certain religious practices don't tend to eat pork. For the Jewish population, it's part of being kosher, and for Muslims, it's part of halal. Namely, people that follow the Islamic faith don't eat pork as pigs and hogs eat garbage and are thus sort of disgusting. Come to think of it, they have a point. But then again,
Wow! If you're hungry for a hunk of fat and juicy meat, eat my buddy Pumbo here because the end is treat. Coming down the line, on a Stacy swine.
Bacon. This means that in certain areas with high Muslim populations, even in the United States, the Subway stores don't stock any pork products, as to avoid any issues with cross-contamination, like if the ham should touch the turkey.
This is criminal. You have cross-contaminated every ounce of ingredients in this kitchen.
However, those stores still advertise pork products for people who either aren't religious or don't follow scripture. What gives with this? Well, according to a former Subway employee,
Really? There's your Employee of the Year 2017 certificate.
Subway stores located in areas with a high Muslim population have removed all pork products, and all the meat is halal, so that ham and salami are actually just flavored turkey meat made to look like pork products. The question then becomes how they flavor the turkey to make it taste like pork. Assuming it can't use any pork products, it must be a decent amount of chemicals, which might be even more unhealthy than eating an animal with cloven feet and a stomach full of trash.
Slimy yet satisfying.
Avoid the mayo.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument.
As this video has and will show, a lot of people eat at Subway because it's a healthier option when it comes to the fast food industry.
I said a salad!
While it is true that most everything Subway offers is healthier than a burger and fries, there are still things that are deceptive about how things are advertised, both on television and in the store. While we'll touch on that further along in the video, there's one thing that isn't advertised anywhere that a former employee admitted during an interview online. When people are eating at Subway to lose weight, they typically forego mayonnaise or go for the light mayonnaise. The only problem with that is, according to this former employee, whenever the light mayo ran out, my manager would just tell me to fill it with regular mayonnaise. And this is pretty common in a lot of stores. Now, that is a scandal. The dead mouse salad.
It was wet and dead, so.
This one is rough. Any restaurant has to deal with all sorts of critters like mice, rats, raccoons, and the elusive Sasquatch. You'd think that a restaurant like Subway would have less of a problem in that regard because everything seems so organized and put away. But vermin are crafty, and when they smell food, they'll do most anything to get to it. Case in point, a while back a man ordered a spinach salad from his local Subway and found a dead mouse inside.
It was about that big. His tail was curled up and you could see his 2 front teeth.
While that technically counts as protein, it's really, really gross, and it's something that Subway admitted was their fault, which is surprising as there have been instances of people faking images like this for financial reasons. Anyways, while they admitted it was their fault, they also said it was an incredibly rare circumstance.
Scared me.
Yeah.
Here's the one that looks like a roadkill.
A roadkill?
Troy.
It was because the mouse died in the salad, but that means that a bunch more probably made their way through that spinach without dying. That's just unsettling, and actually helps to explain some of the foodborne illness outbreaks that Subway's had in recent years. On the bright side though, at least the mouse died doing what it loved?
3 dead mice.
Oh.
Shut it down.
Don't eat the chicken.
Remember Jared from Subway?
Yeah.
The internet is a great tool. Unfortunately for some companies though, especially those that tend to hire teenagers or people who aren't really looking for a career, there's a large chance that anything negative that happens at that business will be talked about online at some point. Case in point comes from an article on the site ula.com, which spoke with a former employee from Subway. That employee basically stated that you should never, under any circumstances, order the chicken, and it's not because of what you expect, considering all the issues that come from serving chicken. At least, not totally. Here's why. Quote, Subway chicken is given a 2 to 5 day shelf life depending on the variety. The chicken teriyaki should be thrown out by the 5th day, but a lot of employees just change the date to avoid throwing it out. This means with shift changes, varying staff, and other factors, 5-day chicken could be out as long as 9 days. So what meat should you order?
They sell meatball sandwiches. Best I've ever tasted. Would you go get me 2? Come on, partner. 2.
The 6-inch Hepatitis A with Mayo.
You broke the cardinal rule. Don't with people that handle your food.
Unfortunately, the reality of the food service business is that most every restaurant will deal with some sort of food poisoning situation at some point. That has happened to Subway more than once, and they all basically boil down to an employee not washing his or her hands after they go to the bathroom, or cross-contamination between uncooked meat and vegetables or bread.
Oh my goodness.
In 1999, for example, over 40 people in Washington state ended up contracting hepatitis A from their sandwiches. Eat fresh indeed. Hepatitis of any kind is no joke, and all involve a virus that infects the liver. Hepatitis A impairs liver function, and if left untreated, it can actually kill you. Yikes. More recently, nearly 100 people ended up contracting salmonella from a Subway location in Illinois.
I hate this bug.
If you simply Google Subway and foodborne illness, you'll see a number of outbreaks they've had, and to be fair, that's sort of standard for a lot of fast food restaurants especially. But because Subway doesn't cook their meat in an oven to kill any critters, and also because of their fresh ingredients, it's just a recipe for disaster. Again, this is part of the reality of eating mass-produced food served by teenagers. Every week it seems like there's an outbreak of this or that at a restaurant or gas station eatery. So the point is that every time you eat out, you're rolling the dice that you might get violently ill. Subway's fat-shaming adverts.
Start the year right. Eat smart with a delicious low-fat Subway Club.
Subway was the leader of the Eat Fresh revolution thanks to their ads with Jared Fogle, and the fact that most sandwiches are healthier than a hamburger and fries. In today's day and age though, people get into an uproar about most everything, so it's hard for a company like Subway to promote healthy options without offending those who prefer burgers.
Or just shut up and make me a sandwich.
Subway walked straight into a feeding frenzy, figuratively and literally, when they released this particular advertisement that basically shows a group of women eating hamburgers because summer is over and they no longer have to look hot in their bikinis. The girl reminds them that if they gain weight, they won't be able to fit into their sexy Halloween costumes.
You know, like attractive nurse, sassy teacher, and foxy fullback.
And because of that, people got pretty offended and claimed that Subway was fat-shaming them.
Viking princess warriors. Hot devil.
As with anything like this, you have to look at the intent behind the commercial. And clearly, while they didn't intend to insult anyone, they were still idiots. Anyways, it didn't matter, as Subway immediately pulled the ad and issued an apology.
Hey, Samantha. How could you?
The sandwiches aren't as healthy as you think.
Turkey-filled cold cut combo. I eat 3 every day to help keep me strong.
Because of Jared Fogle's transformation from a morbidly obese man to a thin monster by only eating at Subway for over a year, people assumed that the quote Jared diet essentially was anything at Subway. The reality is that Jared was ordering sandwiches without condiments or cheese, lowering both the calories and grams of fat. It's not only the commercials that give you that impression, but it's also the signs in the restaurants that show a certain nutritional value for each sandwich, with a decent amount of fine print. A former Subway employee explains it best by saying, "These values are only for a 6-inch sub on white bread bread with no cheese or sauce. The truth is, about 99% of customers have either cheese, sauce, or both. So that means that the more popular choices, like your low-fat 6-inch Subway sandwich with chipotle sauce and Swiss cheese, goes from 6 grams of fat to a whopping 19.7 grams. Beyond that, if you adhere to the Atkins or keto diets, then Subway is a complete no-go anyway, unless you get the salad or perhaps a low-carb wrap. But if you're on Atkins, it's probably better that you avoid Subway totally, as the smell of that bread cooking might drive you crazy. Subway's footlong is not a foot long.
You sit on a throne of lies.
If you've ever been to Subway, you know that you order your sandwiches in terms of their length. The two options, outside of wrapped salads and those weird round sandwiches they give kids, are a 6-inch and 12-inch or foot-long sandwich. Back in 2013, though, a teenager named Matt Corby ordered a foot-long sub from Subway in Perth, Australia, and decided to actually measure the sandwich since he had a tape measure for some reason. He posted the results to the Australian Subway Facebook page, and the 11-inch controversy was born.
People may say this case is only about 1 inch and that it may be frivolous, but companies should deliver what they promise.
Corby asked that Subway please respond after his post received over 100,000 likes. Subway finally responded that, get this, the term footlong is creative license, and a name and not a measurement.
But it did release a statement today promising that it really does want to give you all 12 inches. And
There were other rationalizations, like that the bread starts out as a foot long but shrinks in the oven while cooking.
Well, they have affected with me.
How do you know?
But either way, it made people feel like they were getting cheated.
Oh God.
And because of that, it really hurt Subway's brand.
I'll have what she's having.
Basically anything about Jared.
Here is Jared Fogle. You may have seen him on the news or a talk show.
You knew this entry was coming. Jared Fogle was perhaps, no, he was the best pitchman, not only in fast food history, but in the history of pitchmen on television.
Especially when I'm talking to kids. You know, I speak to children all over the country and actually all over the world now.
Sorry, Grimace. He became super famous and rich over the years after he was initially introduced as a man who lost hundreds of pounds by only eating Subway sandwiches. Dubbed the Subway diet, the timing couldn't have been better as people were suddenly looking for food that wouldn't eventually kill them. And there Jared was, holding up the world's biggest jeans, letting people know that if they eat at Subway, they too can get in shape. And it's something that was a gigantic PR disaster for Subway.
It was quite a shock to see this. FBI and state police raiding Jared Fogle's mansion.
Granted, it wasn't their fault and they didn't know anything about his sinister leanings, but to have a pitchman that personifies your business end up in prison for all the things Jared did, it's clear that it's something that Subway hopes you'll forget. Why not keep fresh with us? Hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss an update. And don't go anywhere, stick around to check out some of our other videos.